Okay, on to the other pieces. We have the blade guard here. Pretty good shape. This is going to be wire wheeled and then painted. That's all I need to do with that. I can take this apart here, I guess. I'll do that. What is that, 1/2 inch? That's all there is to that guy. We have the miter gauge, cool miter gauge, heavy cast like that. And look, it's got all these stops in there for, you know, 22.5, 45, 30, all that stuff. So that's kind of nice. This is going to go to polish the knob here. Boy, all sorts of chips in there. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, and then we'll need to, there we go. That can go to wire wheel, and then to paint, this can just go to wire wheel, I guess. Lastly, the fence. The fence is in pretty tough shape, honestly. Let's get this guy off here first. The sacrificial piece of wood on there. Looks like a standard Phillips sheetrock screw with big washers on it. Not the worst way to do it, I guess. Okay. Piece of worm-eaten oak. Goes over there. We have the fine adjustment on this end. Let's take that guy out. I don't know why he is a carriage bolt, and I don't know why he's stuck there. Okay, these two guys hold in the fine adjuster at the bottom. Those are peened over pretty good. That's going to be a little grind job there. So, I don't know if you can see this very well. Let me adjust you. Okay, so this guy is the fine adjustment. See, he goes back and forth here for the fine adjustment for the fence. Then you can lock her down. And these guys are held in by screws, but I'm sure I'm going to have to hold this whilst I unscrew that. I'm going to have to hold that with, of all things, a needle nose pliers, because I don't think I can get anything else in there. So this is going to get all wire wheeled, cleaned up, lubricated. You know the truth. So that screw, and then here's the little lock mechanism, spring-loaded lock mechanism. This thing looks like it could use some wire wheeling and some lubrication. There's also this guy right here. That is the pointer for the gauge or the tape on the saw, the side, so you can see where you're at. That looks pretty heavily damaged, but it's an Allen screw. Let's see if we can. It's all misshapen. I don't know if I'll be able to get the wrench in there. Well, maybe I can tap it in there with a hammer. Maybe. There we go. How about that? Came out. Yeah, this guy's bent and good, we got that guy. I'm glad we got that out. Okay. So this guy here is an eccentric, so that when you pull this down, it pushes this forward because it's eccentric, and then that will push this upper part that way, which will push the lower part this way, which will clamp it onto the table. So This all goes to wire wheel, paint, lubrication, all that stuff. We'll be back when we're done with that. And we're back from 10 hours of wire wheeling. A couple of things that I wanted to show you here before we get into this is that rod that sits in here. And this guy was so pitted and rusted that he had to be ground. I had to grind him on the belt grinder, so he was more than wire wheeled. This is kind of interesting to me too. Both the guard is die cast. It's not sheet metal, it's die cast, as is the fence. This is a heavy piece. It's pretty heavy. I mean, it's cast aluminum, but it's a heavy piece of cast aluminum. I had to do kind of basically, you can see the machine marks here. I basically did what I do to the tabletops, and that was an orbital sander on this. So you know the deal. I'll hit these with brake clean, then I will hit them with some etching primer, and then I'll hit them with color. And then we can get on to assembling. All right, so the paint's all dry. It's reassembly time, lubrication and reassembly time. So we're gonna put a little grease, and again, I use grease. I know there's some guys that don't like that. We're gonna put a little grease there. Gonna put a little grease right here. When I say a little, I mean a little. Just lube it a little bit. Gonna put some on the inside of here. Gonna put some on the inside of here. Gonna put some on the inside of here. Put some on the inside of here. Where else we gotta put some? There's maybe one more. Okay. So let's see if I can remember how all this goes together. This guy's gotta go up in here. This guy's gotta go here. Here we go. This guy gets retained. That's why I put the grease there. He gets retained by this guy, right? Yeah. Okay. These guys should be some spacers. Yeah, there's spacers. Okay, spacer there, spacer there. Maybe some washers, yes? Let's just say yes. Make sure this guy's bottomed out here. Not up here. Let's see what we got going on here. Let's see what we got going on here. This guy's bottoming out here. So is he the other guy? Let's check. Yeah. Okay, so these guys are not interchangeable. One of them's shorter than the other. I just found that out right now. Thread's the same, but one of them's shorter than the other. So you got to make sure you get the right one on there. All right, now these guys will go on. Screw this guy in. And as per usual, we'll just kind of start them a little bit. Get this guy in. Okay. And you know what? Right now, we're going to do the main lubrication. I'll try to show you real good here. Okay. This guy right here with that cap right here, I got them all cleaned out. So what we're going to do is we're going to stuff this guy absolutely full of new grease. Absolutely full. We're going to try to get out any air we can when we push that in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fill this cap with grease. That's a lot of grease, Robert. Yeah, it is. Okay, why are you doing that? I'm glad you asked. What happens is when I screw this on here, it's a very fine thread. And when I screw this on, it will force that grease down into that bearing. Okay, because I got it so full, and because that thread is so fine that it can't squeeze out around the threads, it's got to go into that bushing, or into that bearing. It's the only place it can go. All right, and now I'm doing this upside down, so it's a little tough for me, but I do want to show you. Okay, come on. Okay, see, look at that. It's all down there. We can fill it again. Fill it right to the top. Okay, and then I'll screw it. You know what, this guy, I can put a little more in here too. There we go. Now this should really squeeze her down in there. You can kind of feel it when you're doing it. I can feel it. It'll get hard for a second, then it'll ease up because it's pressing down in there. And do this as many times as it takes, guys. Takes for what? Takes until it doesn't take anymore, you can't screw it on anymore. Okay, it's important. That's the main shaft, the main arbor that's getting lubed there. So, there you have it. That's the lube part. Let's put these guys on. As you recall, this one here has this pin in it. So we know that that guy goes into this hole here. Okay, and we'll put this guy on. Again, we're just gonna finger tight kind of guy right now. You're this hole, we drilled and tapped. So what I'm going to do with that is put this guy in. This is just a new piece of hardware, 1/4 by 20. This guy here also. Okay, these are the locks for the motor. All right. This guy goes on there. Oops, wrong one. Left hand thread. Right hand thread. Okay, then we have these locks that we put on. The bottom here, so you can't ever spin it off, right? You can crank this guy until you get right to the very end, and then, geez, and then this lock will stop it. If I could get it threaded on. Is this another one of those guys? Oh yeah, okay, these are different. Okay, and we just put this guy kind of at the end for right now because we don't know where we're going to put that stop. And we'll just snug that down a little bit. Okay, same with this guy. Because we can do that because we have everything lubed up. And we will lock this guy down. We're not going to put the wood to him yet because we don't know where we're going to put those stops at. All right, these two guys get caps. It's the little short ones. And the spring caps. Those look like 7/16. Okay. All right, that's together. We could probably put these guys down. Those look like half, yeah. Half. This guy, 9/16, maybe 5/8. Nope, 9/16. All right, let's make sure everything, oh yeah, very nice, very nice. Okay, I wanted to get all that kind of pre-assembled before I put it into, or before I mount it onto the top, where it might be harder to show you guys how I'm doing that. So let me go grab the top, get it over here. Okay, so off camera I lubed these guys up. Well, why'd you do that off camera? Because your hands get full of grease and it's hard to continue operations when that happens. So we're gonna slide these guys onto here, get them about lined up, and as you recall, these trunnions here have these pins in them that align it. So you got to get them just right in order to get them in there. Okay, so he's pinned. And what I think I want to do here is put this guy on first, then try to lift them up and put them in back here and here all at the same time. That is not going to be easy for alignment. There you go. How about this guy? That all worked a lot easier than I thought it would, quite honestly. Okay, everything's free here. All right. All right, bolts. Start each one of them. Each one gets a washer. There we go. Started 6 of them. 9/16 they look like to me. Please be right. Please don't be 5/8. Let's see what we got here. I don't know if there's only one bolt on this thing that was 5/8. Okay. And one more. All right. Okay, they all seem pretty tight to me. This guy's spinning. Ooh, very silky smooth. Oh, baby. All right, so that main part is all in now. Okay, what comes next? I suppose we should put on the, let me screw this guy in here. Put on the body, the sheet metal body here. Let's try that. It's a little bit of a chore to get these guys lined up going through the holes here. Okay, so this guy's got to go on. He gets bolted on here, and then there's a spacer that'll fall off if I put it on now. So let's just bolt this guy on right now. Now, what I think we can do is put this guy on. It's a little difficult sometimes because you gotta get that guy through the front hole and this guy through the side hole. One more hand. There we go. And then you gotta line up all the bolts on the bottom. Okay, there we go. Looks pretty good. Let's get that guy screwed on. Okay. Cast iron top is secured to base. Now let's get these guys in. Okay, so the trunnion's right on the other side. These guys get bolts. I put new washers on them. And we screw this guy to the bulkhead here as we do this guy. Seven sixteenths is my guess. 7/16. I get a wrench on the other side. Okay, there we go. So this does the angle. It's so smooth because I got it lubed up that I can just do it with my fingers. This is that spacer that goes here. You know what? We'll put on the. So this part of the assembly appears done. I guess I could flip this over and get a kind of a better view of it. It is heavy. Okay, there it is. I think what we'll do is we'll turn our attention to the front here. This is all banged up. The scale, it's dented. It's gonna need a wire wheel. So we should probably take this off, and this is held in by screws on the bottom. Let's take all of that off. Okay. So for right now, let's turn our attention to the stand, the cart, the whatever it was that came with this thing, and see if we can get that in shape. This is the stand, the bench, whatever. You can see it's seen better days. It's gonna have to be sanded, I guess. And it's got these things on there, space it. It's got nice wheels, it rolls nice, but boy, she's in tough shape. So what I think we'll do is we'll take off the top, all the wood on the top, and we will sand off. I'm gonna have to sand it. That's pretty heavy stuff for a wire wheel. It's really crunchy. Sand it, paint it, make a new top, mount the saw to the new top, call it good. Okay, I'm taking off the finish here, and I don't want to make you suffer through a half hour of me grinding that stuff off, but I'm using one of these kind of wheels on my angle grinder. This one is a Warrior polycarbide abrasive wheel. That works pretty good. This stuff is on there thick. I don't know what the heck that stuff is. House paint or Bondo or something. I won't make you suffer through all of it, but I do want to show you a little bit of the process here. So let me get my full face shield on. And I would put on gloves, but I'm down a finger, so gloves don't fit. Here we go, I'll show you. So as you can see, it does work pretty good. Again, I won't make you suffer through the rest of it, but if you're one of the guys that makes these wheels, contact me and, you know, give me a sponsorship or something. All right, if you are an aficionado of my video channel, and why wouldn't you be, you've seen me do this numerous times. Random orbit sander, 80 grit sanding pad, not masked off when I painted it, and let's go to town and scrub the top. You get the idea. Okay, so you've also seen me do this before. Right after we get done grinding that table, we're gonna put just paste wax on it. Stop it from rusting. It also does a pretty amazing job of cleaning off all of the grit. Look, see? And I've already cleaned this table after I ground it. But there's little micro pits in there, and this table was pretty pitted. You can see that kind of going on here. It was pretty pitted. So we're gonna wax her up. And like I said, we're getting all that grit off. I think this will look pretty cool over here with the grid. Gray with the silver top, that'll look pretty good. Get into these tracks here too. And so we'll let that dry maybe 5-10 minutes till it forms a haze, and then we'll take a clean cloth and we'll polish it off. I'm actually kind of interested to see how this works. This is that cover plate that I made just out of a piece of hardboard, and let's put her in here and see how she fits. You know what? That isn't half bad, honestly. Boy, you'd have to get pretty close to tell that that wasn't original. All right, on to reapplying some of the badging. This first one is this Atlas badge, and he just has 2 holes that go back there and these funny little clips that go on the back side. You just push them on, so. Okay, what's next? How about this guy? This is the angle gauge. I've cleaned him up as best I could. I've polished the heads of these screws. So we're gonna put these guys in here. And these guys have nuts that go on the back end. So we're gonna put him here. All right. All right, what else we got for badging? On this side here, we have the Atlas badge. These are really tiny screws. They were tough to get to buff the heads. And these are just sheet metal screws, so there is no nut that goes on the back side. So let's see if we can screw these guys in. Wow. There we go. Very nice. I wire wheel this guy. We can put him in. We get the bevel side towards the blade. Fits right in there. Looks like she spins pretty good. I can tell you this, both of these wheels spin very smoothly. We have the super cool miter gauge. I really like this miter gauge. It has stops at all the normally used. It's very well machined. That miter gauge fits in there very tight. Not tight, I mean it slides, but it fits in there very nice. Okay, on to the gauge. These were pretty beat up. I took them on my anvil with a hammer and I straightened them the best I could. Not as good as I'd like them, but better than they were. And these just go on with a couple of screws here. Go. Here is the fence that we have to put together yet. Okay, so here are the parts of the fence. They've all been wire wheeled and ground, even the plastic part here. So let's try to put this together. We're going to put a little grease on the end here, where he goes into this end. And we're going to put some grease in here to let him slide a little easy. Might as well put some down the sides for the rotation. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, so there we go. So this thing has an eccentric end here. When you push it down, it pushes this out. When it pushes that rod out, this end is on a pivot, it pushes it in and it clamps the table. That's how that works. It's that simple. And here's just a little pin with a swaged end. Let's see if we can see which side this goes in on. Goes in on this side, you can see the little swaging there. And I'm going to want a real hammer for that. Do it. On the other end here, this is the adjustment. This screws in. Basically, it gives you your tension as to when this rod catches. Okay. And while I'm doing this, I'm checking out the rod on the other end there. Oh yeah, that's over tight right there. And then you lock it in place with this guy, this lock nut here. Let's see if that's about right. Oh yeah, nice and solid. Okay. And voila, she is finished. I put on the electrical and I used my normal 20 amp all steel box and the 3 conductor cable here, over here. Grounded everything out. As per usual. Boy, is this a nice saw. The lock works great. I got to tell you about the fence a little bit here. You know, for a non-cabinet saw fence, this thing is awesome. First of all, it's cast. This is not stamped steel like you normally see. Okay, and there's an eccentric right here that pushes this rod, and that rod, there's the adjustment for how tight you can get it, and that rod pushes on this thing that clamps against the back of the table. And geez, this thing works nicely. You can slide it easy with one hand, but when you lock it down, man, that thing is solid. It's got the fine adjustment here. You push down, and then you can rotate it like this and get your fine adjustment. There's the needle, there's the gauge that tells you how far it is. I never use those. I always measure it, but it's a very nice fence for this type of saw. You can also see it does have a little bit of pitting left. I did my best to get that out, but other than a full Blanchard grind, that stuff's not coming out. And has the cast iron wing out here. That's also really nice. That turned out really good. The base is functional. Okay, it's got the double wheels on it, and all of them rotate. So you don't, some of them have the 2 on the back that don't rotate, and the 2 on the front that do, and then it's hard getting it in and out of places. But this one doesn't. It was homemade. Whoever made it, I didn't make it, but whoever made it did a pretty good job. It's all angle iron. Boy, this thing runs. That's all the louder it is. There is like 0 vibration. It's a really nice saw. It turned out really good. I like the miter. It locks. It's a really good design, and it's a heavy cast piece. Slides really nice. Motor, 3/4 horsepower. I did a separate video on that. I'll put in the link. It did not require a complete rebuild or bearings or anything else, but I did tear it down and clean it and lubricate it, and that thing works fantastic. So, nice saw. Okay, for after action report. Fantastic saw. It is my new favorite non-cabinet saw. I like it better than the Craftsman. I like it better than the 9-inch Delta that I did. This is a 10-inch saw, so that's not comparing apples to apples. Your mileage and or opinion, may vary on any of that. Really nice saw. Turned out fantastic. We'll go to the reveal and we'll go on to the next projects. Thanks for joining me.